Welcome. This is the small session on assessment inquiries and review presented with assistance of the Chamber of Commerce. It's part 1 of 4. My name is John Allen. I'm the City Assessor for the City of Medicine Hat. My background, I've been a small business owner for about 9 years before I got into real estate in 1981. Completed my agent's course in 1985. I completed the UBC Urban Land Economics program with specialization in appraisal in 1993. I'm currently a professional member of the Real Estate Institute of BC. My previous life, I've owned a couple of commercial buildings, rental house, mobile home park, duplex, sixplex. I've built a couple of additions, done some renovations, done 2 complete buildings. I was a realtor and agency owner, operated a property management agency, court-appointed receiver of rents, managed about 220 individual rentals, along with some strata buildings and an 80,000 square foot flex commercial industrial building. Joined BC Assessment in 1990. With my background in commercial, I was immediately involved in commercial assessment work and appeals. I've been involved in all levels of appeals and valuation of most types of property. I've worked in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC. 2005, I answered a call from Saskatchewan Assessment Management Agency, commonly known as SAMA, which resulted in my moving to Saskatchewan to lead the provincial revaluation unit, which included the introduction of the income approach in SAMA jurisdictions for the 2009 roll. Came to Medicine Hat in October of 2011 as a city assessor. This presentation is intended to assist the property owner with a review of their assessment. It's intended to supplement independent professional advice. I will provide some perspective of the informal and formal processes of an assessment review, partly as a former realtor, partly as a former commercial property owner, and mostly as an assessor. This is not an all-encompassing step-by-step how-to manual. Over the 4 sessions, you'll get some exposure to all the different aspects of a review. I will try to present some lessons learned over the past 33 years in the real estate and the assessment professions. In Alberta, we call them complaints. In other jurisdictions, they're appeals or reviews in some. In all cases, the first step when you receive an assessment notice is to check all the information on the notice. If any of the information is incorrect, you should call the assessment department. Legal descriptions, owners' names, property tax class may just require a call. Review the deadlines, because they are enforced. Is the value correct? How do you check it? After reviewing the assessment notice, you may have questions that can be answered by the assessor. There are other sources as well. Professional consultants. Several national firms do assessment work in Alberta. Both Altus and AEC have extensive experience, all levels of property type and complexity. The city website has a wealth of assessment and appeal information, forms, and links to provincial websites. We also have all of the valuation data on the website and comparison data. And of course, your Chamber of Commerce is providing assistance with this series and through their advocacy practices. Property data is available from the assessor using one of 2 request forms. An owner can access the records that the assessor has on the property for the current year. Note that if the information is provided on the city website, it cannot be requested on the form. Both forms have a line titled Other. This line is not an open request to fill in for additional information. It is for other information that's prescribed or otherwise described in the regulation. Requests for information, it's called a Section 299 form. Property owners can use the form. It's located on the city website to request information that the assessor has for their property. This request is a requirement of Section 299 of the Municipal Government Act. The form allows an owner to appoint an agent to receive the information or request the information. The owner then chooses which information they are requesting or authorizing the agent to receive. The city has a bylaw that establishes fees for information requests. Section 299 requests by the owner are free. Assessors have 15 days to complete the request if less than 5 properties are requested. The other form is called a Section 300 form, and anyone that's an assessed person can complete the Section 300 form to request some information about property that is comparable to the assessed person's property. Confidential information is not accessible. This type of request has a fee set by bylaw at $38 per comparable property. Assessors have 15 days to complete the request if less than 5 properties are requested. A word or two about consultants or agents. To date, only the province of Ontario has established governing rules for property tax agents, to my knowledge. Anyone acting as an agent in Ontario is now required to be registered as a paralegal with the Law Society and falls under the jurisdiction of the Law Society for Ethics. In Alberta, it is up to the property owner to determine if the agent has the qualifications, experience, and knowledge of the market and property type if they are appointing an agent. Alberta Provincial Review Board decisions can be accessed for reference. They are searchable by name, by company, by property, by location. There is basically an open search function on the Alberta Board website. Assessors are required to be designated by the Alberta Assessors Association. Members of the Appraisal Institute of Canada can join the Assessors Association. Alberta has specific assessment educational requirements. While some of the training and theory are common, application, legislation, and regulations separate appraisal and assessment into distinct specialties. Appraisers typically do not do mass appraisal. Assessors typically are required to do mass appraisal. Alberta appraisers are licensed by the Alberta Real Estate Council. Depending on their experience and designation, they can appraise different types of property. Candidate members typically start with residential property and over time can move into the appraisal of more complex property. Until candidates are accredited, the appraisal associations usually require that commercial assignments are signed off by a fully accredited supervisory appraiser. Appraisers typically do not follow assessment requirements when they are doing an appraisal. Appraisals used as evidence in a hearing. Does the date of the appraisal match the valuation date of July 1st of the preceding year? Will the appraiser attend the hearing? If not, who will answer the questions about the appraisal? Does the evidence match the valuation period? Is the market evidence from Medicine Hat? The board determines the weight that will give to evidence. It is difficult to make decisions if evidence consists of unsupported opinions, unadjusted data, incomparable data, or data from a different community. Other consultants. Lawyers are often requested to appear due to the legal nature of the review procedures. There are some lawyers in Alberta that have developed their assessment work into a specialty area of practice and may use appraisal or assessment consultants as required. Realtors are not licensed to do assessments or appraisals, but often act as agents due to related property management or sales activity. The Real Estate Council has a policy paper that directs realtors to make a disclosure when preparing a market evaluation. The disclosure in layman's terms is a clarification that a realtor's market evaluation is not an appraisal. Market evaluations are expected to be in conjunction with a listing presentation. If you're wondering what has worked and what doesn't work, read the Medicine Hat decisions on the board site, or wait until the 4th session of this series. Boards include their opinions of the evidence, conclusions, and names of the parties in attendance. Search all decisions looking for your issues, the people that you may consider as your consultant. Everything is in the website. Mass appraisal versus market value. Assessment valuation and application can be distinctly different from private appraisal valuation. Market value is defined by legislation as a specific value arrived at using mass appraisal. It goes on to define mass appraisal. In layman's terms, similar buildings are required to be grouped and valued using common factors, not actual income, following all of the legislation and regulations. The rules and the dates must be followed. The assessment role must pass the audit when the sales are uploaded. Mass appraisal. It's important to understand that mass appraisal will give an indication of market value using common data and rates. It does not use actual income and expense data from a property. When an assessor gathers individual property data, it is analyzed with the data from the group of similar properties. Then the median numbers are used for the assessment valuation of that group. Half of the actual numbers will be above the median and half will be below. The assessor will provide a valuation form that will show all of the factors and rates used to calculate the assessment. The rates come from the group. If the actual physical data is correct, the next area of review is the classification or group that the assessor has placed the property in. This comparable group, you need to review the non-residential valuation package. It can be obtained from the city website assessment tab. Discuss the classification and the quality assigned with the assessor and compare to other buildings within the same group. There is a listing of properties that have been assigned classifications on the city website. Classification and quality is the opinion of the assessor and is intended to reflect the action of the market and the potential typical income that an investor would receive. The valuation flows from the classification and quality that's been assigned. The income derived is then used to calculate the assessed value. Income divided by the rate is equal to value. The rate is based on properties that have sold. Income for those properties that have sold divided by the sale price is equal to the rate. The primary issue of any appeal then is the income derived from the comparable group and the sales used to calculate the rate. Assessment valuation dates in Alberta. Value should reflect what a property would sell for on July 1st of the year before the roll year. The building's state and condition is to reflect what existed on December 31st. Market evidence is required to be from the period prior to July 1st of the year preceding the roll. For example, valid adjusted sales for up to 3 12-month market periods are uploaded to the provincial asset system. Depending on the number of sales, only 1 year may be used or up to 3 years may be used in the audit process. Some of the rules. Sales must reflect that July 1st valuation date. They get time adjusted to July 1st. Sales must be adjusted to July 1st and be arm's length. This requires verification to remove sales that should not be used to set assessment values. Sales should be an indicator of typical market actions, nothing with duress. Purchaser and vendors should not be related, and they must be representative of the normal, fully informed participants in the market. Valuation data for 2014. This is one of the key aspects of the valuation. Common data must be used for groups of properties. Rental data must be gathered and analyzed for groups of properties each year. Standards must be established, analyzed, and then applied back to the same group of properties. Valuation parameters such as rent, vacancy, expenses, cap rate, and other items like excess land or improvements that are not included in the rental rate are all analyzed. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please forward them through the Chamber of Commerce or send them directly to the City Assessor. I will try to get back to you as time permits. There will be 3 more sessions assessment complaints and procedures, assessment hearings and disclosure, and decisions from the 2013 Composite Assessment Review Board. Thank you.